guys. Thank you for tuning in to Sartin Garage. Today we're going to be working on a leaf blower. It has intermittent start problems. One minute it'll start, the next minute it won't. We're going to check it out. I'm going to show you how to do it. Step by step, what you should check first, second, third, until we get it to run. Let's get started on it. I actually checked it out for the guy, and I brought it over here. I checked the compression, I checked the fire. It was all good. So I thought, well, let me just see if it'll start. Lock the throttle wide open. The switch is always on. Off, you pull it down. Pull it down right there. That's off, but when you let go, it turns back on by itself, so you can't turn it off and leave it off. So I choked it. Started it up, it fired right up, put it on partial, pulled a couple more times, it cranked right up, put it in run. I let it run for, 2 or 3 minutes. Shut it off, started it back. I thought he just flooded it. I texted him, said, man, I think it was just flooded. I actually went ahead and put him 2 new fuel lines on it because the fuel lines were rotted. They wasn't rotted, but it was leaking fuel around the tank here, and they looked bad, so I put him 2 new ones on there. Well, he come to pick it up, and it wouldn't start. Man, this thing must not like you. He started laughing. It was funny, because I got it, pulled it a few times. It wouldn't start for me at first, so I pulled the plug out and looked at it. It was dry, and it had that old plug in it. So I went and got a new one, stuck in it, and it cranked right up. It ran good. So I thought, well, it found the plug. I turned it off, handed it to him. He tried to start it back. It wouldn't start again. Pull and pull and pull and pull. It would not start. He handed it back to me. It wouldn't start for me either. So we're going to go a little deeper in this thing. I'm going to run a compression check again so y'all can see how to check one of these things out when it don't start. Alright, 19 millimeter or 3/4. CJ7Y plug. I think this is a 6Y. Pull that out. It don't look terrible. It's dry. Compression gauge. Goes to 300 pounds. Woohoo! Screw that in the spark plug hole. Now you want 90 pounds or more. 90 pounds, it will still run, but it will be underpowered. And it probably will be hard to start. You're going to be pulling and pulling and pulling and trying to get it to run. Eventually it will run. Especially when you get down to 80 and 70. 70, you'd be lucky if you get it to start. So we'll run a compression check. I can't really lay this where you can see it, I don't think. Alright, when I pull this rope, I wanted it wide open throttle, and this one just so happens to have a throttle lock on it. I'll pull this back, pull the throttle, and pull this back, and it holds it wide open. That's so you let all the air you can into that motor. More air, more compression. And we're going to pull this rope, and within 3 pulls, we should be well above 90. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. We are at 110. That's pretty good. For this blower, it is a 2012. So it's 7 years old, and it's still got 110 pounds of compression. Well, that eliminated that. We know it's not that. Why do I think you should do compression check first? That tells you the health of this motor. It tells you how healthy this motor is. Just like going to the doctor, he checks your heart rate, your pulse. He can tell how healthy you are by checking that. You don't just go right into having surgery without checking you. Same thing. Check compression, then we're going to check the fire. I got this cool little spark checker. I love this thing. It's got a little light right here. When you check the spark, it lights up. We'll put this on the plug. Just like that. Slide this over that. And we're going to put this in here. Make sure your on-off switch is on. Which, like I said, this one you can't turn it off. And then you just want to pull that rope and watch that spark or light up. Alright guys, did y'all notice when I was pulling that rope, I pull it once, it was firing. I pull it again, it didn't do anything. I'm going to play that back for you in slow motion so you can watch that. And as I'm pulling this rope back, watch that light in slow motion. That, every time I pull that rope, that should be flickering. It should be lighting up. Every time it fires, that lights. So watch this video in slow motion. Alright guys, we're going to get this thing pulled apart and get a coil ordered for it. Once we get it in, we'll put it on. I'll probably show you a few tricks along the way as far as how to get the impeller off without shearing the flywheel key. But we'll get that ordered and we'll get that put on, then we'll see what it does. Alright guys, got the new coil for it. Brand new. Get this thing on here. the spade terminal. Take a screwdriver, pop that spade terminal off. Torques. This may not work. Actually, it would work. Up and make sure they're exactly the same. They should be with the same part number. Looks good to me. Now there's a certain way to gap this flywheel to coil. 10 to 20 thousandths is a good clearance for that. The business card is about 15. That's right in the middle. Which is great. You want to bring the magnet around to the flywheel, to the coil. And then when you set this down on there, the magnet will draw it, the coil, to the coil. And that will set the gap between them. And then you just want to put your screws back in. Don't forget your wire on this one. Goes right here. Get through that wire and then set it down in there. Tighten them up pretty good. You don't want this thing to move. And then just turn the flywheel and your business card will come right out. Go ahead and turn this back and forth. Make sure it doesn't rub. Looks good down in there. Nice little gap. Put this wire back up. And then guys, we're ready to put this thing back together. Sorry about that, guys. My battery went dead on my camera and I didn't know it. So I finished putting it together. I was putting this on. I put the tube on. Put the screw in that somebody put in to keep this from vibrating off. I actually started it not knowing my camera was dead. But it's cooled off now, so let's fire it up. Prime it a few times, give it a little choke. When you're starting one, as soon as it sputters like that, it starts and dies on full choke. Take it off of full choke, because if you don't, you're going to flood it. So now you put it on half choke and then pull it till it starts. Let it warm up a second and take it to run. And you won't let it run for a little while. Don't just start it up and take off going with it. Let that motor warm up. You know, at least 30 seconds to a minute. You just go throttling it up wide open. Let all that get warm. It'll even start to run a little better. You'll hear it start idling better. That's that motor getting the temperature. Now you should be good to go. Diagnose your two-cycle equipment. It is the same for every piece of equipment that is two-cycle. And it's pretty much the same for a four-cycle too. But we got this thing running good. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell, you'll get future notifications of my videos. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.